Mr. Alan Nuckman, Chief Market Strategist at BullseyeOption.com. He's got trades on his mind. He's got, I'm sure, other thoughts too. As stocks have been kind of sitting below the 61 in the S&P, Alan, are we just warming up to
going nowhere? We've been going nowhere. We've been between 5,800 and 6,100 for 3 months now. Breakout target 6,400. We'll be back on the road once again.
On the road again to 7,000?
Yeah, we've got a lot. Upside is unlimited. I mean, we've got the administration behind the markets, and let's look at the VIX. The VIX is at 16. 2017 all over again, the VIX was at 8. So we're double. So we're not even near complacent if people are going to use that as any sort of measure. So there's a lot of downside to the VIX, a lot of upside in stocks, and that's just very, very much a positive. There's not much negative. And look at the reaction on NVIDIA. Those who called the end of NVIDIA, how are they going? 130, 140 gaps getting filled, then what happens? Then we could attack those highs. And then if we have a full V recovery, we're looking at NVIDIA 180. So, technology continues to evolve and innovate, and it's all about price. Those people that were doing the deep thinking about the deep seek, it's about price, and I guess the market's shaking it off.
We're still $20 off NVIDIA, so you think we're going to close that gap?
It's up 1,000%. In the last few years, 1,000%.
You said the deep seek stuff, so
and it pulled back.
Are still down.
We pulled back 20%. That's only natural after being up 1,000%. So, to say it's over, that's something that's a prognostication. I can't even say it that I would certainly not want to make.
Yeah, Meta's been crushing it, making highs.
Right.
Right now, that's the one that's like broken free.
Yep.
Whereas Tesla's been kind of giving some back.
Who wanted Meta when it was $100 a share just a couple of years ago, and they thought that the metaverse thing was going to break it or whatever, and nobody wanted to be involved in with what Zuckerberg was doing. But
once I started wearing the chains, everybody did.
Equate that right now to Baba. Baba looks exactly like Meta did back in the day, a couple years ago. And you can see now it's breaking out. Baba's been trading in a range. It's breaking out of this range, and the upside on that is exponential.
You've been looking for some of this Chinese stuff to ramp up. So you're looking at Tencent Music this morning. How come, team, you got some Kendrick Lamar on there?
Well, I trade what I see. What I see is opportunity.
You trade what you hear.
What I see is risk reward. And now a lot of the trades I do obviously are not hero trades. And you give me a hard time because I don't do hero trades. I made a little list here.
Okay. I like hero trades.
Today I took 129% profit in our service on TDOC, Teladoc.
Teladoc, yeah.
Okay, so look at the chart on Teladoc, TDOC. That is what it's all about. It's all about math. A $300 option. Now it's going at $750. Okay, Trip. Levi is not a mover, but it is moving. And GDX, we talked about GDX, how the risk reward, gold continues to make new highs, but the miners don't. So, these are all the type of plays that I look at. We also did WB a couple weeks ago. I think you were on holiday. And so now we're looking at TME. Looking at that sector, the Chinese sector has the best risk reward. I mean, it's an amazing risk reward if you compare it to America. And like I said, Baba and Baidu are following in the footsteps of what our big Magnificent Seven did, a couple 3 years ago when they were down and they pulled back after that low that we saw in 2022. So if you look at TME, it's been trading between 10 and 14. Simple, made a nice little bottom base here. 12's the pivot of this range that we've been in for the last 3 months. If it breaks above that pivot, it sends us to 14. 14 breakout sends us to 16.
So the chart's pretty fun because it's one of those things where it's got the lower highs, but it's got the higher lows. So you're kind of getting squeezed in here, a little compression like a coiled spring. Right?
Breakout, baby. So you're right, it's your coiled spring, and that spring is looking to get sprung. If you look at FXI, which is the ETF, we also did a trade in FXI for China. It's got very much the same setup. So, China has an amazing risk reward, whereas, like you said, Meta and some of these other stocks are not only have had major moves, but they're also high. How do you trade a $600 stock with options unless you're doing spreads? And again, with spreads, you don't have that flexibility because until you're at the end of the expiration, the spread doesn't have its maximum value, and it never will.
I know you're thinking about the price action, price is king, but is there some irony in the long China trade when the guy just took over president who's supposed to be the hard-on China guy that these stocks were all rallying back?
Again, you're thinking. I trade what I see, okay? And those people that thinking have spun themselves in circles over the last couple of weeks, and it's not going to get better, let me tell you. The more you think of how all these, seventh dimensional chess pieces are going to work together, the more confused you're going to get. Yeah. Trade with discipline, trade what you see, and I follow with my 2-day rule. When something's announced, wait to see where it is after 2 days, and then you can make some decisions on it. Because it's not important it is important how the markets act, how they react, but how they act afterwards is the most important part. And so I think that's helped me mentally as well as fiscally be successful, because you're not making major decisions just based upon policy or news.
Yeah. Well, we talked earlier this morning about how the surveys, sentiment, small business, inflation expectations, people did run themselves around in circles on their own political views because they literally changed overnight what they think is going to happen.
Right. It's been Cirque du Soleil that people are just bending over backwards. It's, some of it is ideological and a little bit of intellectual dishonesty. But hey, all that doesn't matter. What matters is making money. And again, some people will say, well, I don't want to be trading Chinese stocks and so forth and so forth. But it doesn't matter. Don't discriminate. It's money. That's what we're here for. You know, we're not here to make policy. We're here to make money.
All right. Looking for Tencent to break out? Like it. Thanks, Alan.
Thank you.
Appreciate the trades, Alan Lightman, Chief Market Strategist, BullseyeOption.com. All right, let's come back to the U.S., talk some McDonald's, but that was also an international story in many ways, too, with a growth around the world better than what it saw here domestically. We're going to take another look at the stock after its earnings, now propelling a 5% pop. Pretty good for McDonald's, back to the highest since October.